This isn't just happenstance, and a profound inner knowing confirms it. If these specific words have resonated with your spirit, it's because the universe orchestrated a perfect alignment, meeting your soul at the precise moment you were prepared to grasp this truth. You weren't searching for this message. This message was waiting for you, a signpost on your predetermined path. The fact that you are here reading this now is an echo of a promise made in a time you cannot recall, a sacred contract now ready to be fulfilled. Your presence confirms a divine readiness. November 5th is far more significant than a simple calendar entry. It's a scheduled rendezvous, etched into the foundational spiritual blueprint of your being. This date marks an event that was sealed and set in motion long before the day you first drew breath and became a conscious entity in this physical world. An activation has quietly begun in the ethereal invisible sphere, and there is no doubt that your individual destiny is intrinsically linked to it. This moment is the convergence of your past anticipation and future glory. For what may feel like weeks, or maybe even an endless stretch of months or years, you've experienced a sense of unexplained motion surrounding you. These subtle yet powerful shifts, unusual dreams, moments of inexplicable pressure, a sharpening of your spiritual intuition, the persistent feeling that something momentous was rapidly approaching, were not figments of your imagination. These were not random incidents. They were deliberate, unseen preparations for a great unveiling. Your soul has been holding its breath, waiting for the manifestation of something your physical eyes have not yet been able to perceive. But that is about to change. On November 5th, the barrier between the spiritual and the material world will thin, and the unseen will finally step into the visible realm. This date is not merely the turning of a page. It is the day your destiny descends, touching the earth with unmistakable, tangible force. This is the day when the subtle whispers of heaven cease, replaced by an undeniable, world-shaking declaration. Therefore, you must tune in and listen with the deepest part of your being. Understand this. Every drop of sadness, every frustrating delay, every question that remained unanswered, every period where life felt overwhelmingly nonsensical, all of it was an essential, intricate part of a design far vaster and more intelligent than your current understanding. And now, the long-awaited moment has finally arrived. November 5th will function as a powerful spiritual light, exposing what was meticulously hidden, unveiling promises that seemed forgotten, and unlocking doors that were once firmly sealed. The central question is not a matter of whether the divine will intervene. The only real question is whether you are fully prepared for the magnitude of this shift. And if these words are finding their way into your awareness, if you are feeling a distinct tug in your spirit right now, the answer is a resounding yes. If you sense a lightness replacing an old heaviness in your chest, if your spiritual radar is becoming hyper-aware as you absorb this message, it is your inner being recognizing the inherent truth of this exact moment in time. This is your soul signing the declaration. Therefore, do not allow yourself to be distracted. Do not click away or let your focus wander. This message is more than just words. It serves as a spiritual key, and the appearance of a key is the ultimate confirmation that the door it is meant to open is now immediately at hand. The connection between your current state and your incoming breakthrough is immediate and undeniable. Before we delve deeper into this powerful revelation, let's complete a simple but deeply symbolic action. Take a moment to tap the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet joined this community, and leave a comment stating 99. Why the number 99? Because in spiritual numerology, 99 symbolizes the final stage before absolute completion, the crucial, tense moment right before total fulfillment is realized, and November 5th, the day we are focusing on, is precisely that moment of final, intense preparation leading to the promised breakthrough. Now let's continue to explore the profound implications of this divine scheduling. This particular day was chosen not by random fate, but by a higher, absolute authority. The deeper you venture into your own spiritual awareness, the more profoundly you will feel this truth vibrate within you. November 5th was inscribed onto your personal timeline long before you uttered your first word, before you knelt for your very first prayer, and even before you felt the sting of your first significant heartbreak. You didn't slowly evolve to meet this day. Rather, this day has been patiently awaiting your arrival. It is a crucial spiritual appointment, perfectly carved into the invisible architecture of your destined path. Nothing about this is random. Nothing is accidental. It has been designed with breathtaking precision. In the celestial realm, time does not operate with the linear progression we experience here on Earth. Heaven doesn't simply monitor the clock. Heaven is the ultimate creator of the clock itself. And while you were consumed with worry and questions about the timing, Heaven was strategically aligning every necessary detail. November 5th is not merely a date. It is a divine portal, a precise crossing point where the long-held blueprint of your destiny finally merges with its physical manifestation. Some might label this as perfect alignment. Others will call it an inevitable breakthrough. But in the truest spiritual sense, it is an activation. It is the day the spiritual world forcibly awakens the physical world to its own reality. You did not reach this point through blind luck. Every confusing detour, every door that slammed shut, every experience that seemed like a regression was actually a precise act of positioning for a moment that would have been overwhelming or meaningless earlier in your journey. The significant reason you faced so many intense personal battles is that the blessing connected to this specific day is too monumental to be entrusted to a spirit that is not fully prepared to handle its weight. Promises that have seemed utterly silent are now stirring and beginning their ascent. Paths that were stubbornly blocked will, without any human explanation, suddenly and miraculously clear. What you previously interpreted as harsh rejection was, in reality, a loving redirection. What felt like an irreparable loss will be returned to you, not just whole, but multiplied exponentially. You are not just stepping into a miracle. The miracle is, right now, stepping directly into you. And here's the truth that will fundamentally stir the deepest parts of your soul. Heaven is not merely sending a small, subtle sign. Heaven is sending undeniable, visible movement. We are talking about genuine, tangible shifts, new doors opening, real, measurable changes that are occurring. This is the type of transformation that will not require your limited strength, because it will be entirely powered by divine authority. It's the kind of change you won't be able to logically explain to others, because it will entirely bypass human logic and common sense. Situations that stubbornly resisted your efforts will suddenly collapse. People or opportunities that previously ignored your existence will now actively seek you out. Challenges that once intimidated you will be forced to bow before your elevated stature. November 5th is not a gentle whisper from God. It is a powerful, undeniable command. But there is an even deeper, more mysterious activity unfolding beneath the surface of this day. In the spiritual hierarchy, certain days are marked with divine fire. These are days when celestial beings move with purpose, when destiny accelerates dramatically, and when anything that was stuck suddenly becomes completely unstoppable. This explains why your spirit has felt so persistently restless. It's why your inner intuition is screaming louder than usual. It's why you cannot shake the profound, certain feeling that something colossal is imminent. Your soul, the truest part of you, recognizes its sacred divine appointment long before the material world can see it. And when this predestined door finally swings open, it will do more than just alter your circumstances. It will fundamentally change your very identity. The version of you that steps through this threshold will not be the same person who walked up to it. Unshakable confidence will surge, clarity will become a permanent state, and divine favor will multiply beyond measure. This is the magnitude of the shift that will cause people to pause and ask, how did your entire life change so rapidly? And your only quiet, truthful answer will be, God moved. But hold that thought, because we are not yet finished. If the divine meticulously wrote this particular day into the narrative of your destiny, the next most crucial question is, what, specifically, is coming? And the answer to that will shake you even more profoundly than everything you've heard so far. You need to absorb this next truth with absolute clarity and focus. Nothing you have endured on your long journey was ever wasted. Every moment of delay, every painful disappointment, every solitary night you spent questioning whether God had forgotten you, all of it was a calculated, essential element of a grand blueprint that you simply couldn't visualize at the time. You prayed diligently for progress, yet the doors seemed to remain shut. You begged for clarity, yet the room was filled with overwhelming silence, and you inevitably wondered, why am I perpetually stuck? The deep, simple truth is that you were never truly stuck. You were instead being strategically shaped. When the divine constructs something meant to withstand the tests of time, it is built slowly, deeply, and with a relentless, unwavering purpose. Every perceived delay was, in fact, a brilliant strategy. There were certain blessings that you were not yet spiritually or emotionally equipped to handle. There were people currently in your orbit who would have quickly sabotaged the very thing you were so earnestly praying for. There were rooms and opportunities you thought you desperately wanted, but those environments were far too small to contain the immense magnitude of your true spiritual calling. Heaven was not denying you. Heaven was actively protecting you from the danger of arriving too soon. A blessing granted before its appointed time can often be experienced as a curse. Therefore, God strategically slowed your pace, not as a form of punishment, but as a deliberate act of preparation. Every closed door you encountered was a silent act of divine protection. Think back honestly. How many times did you passionately plead for something that, in retrospect, would have been profoundly destructive to you emotionally? Spiritually or mentally? How many individuals walked away, and you mistakenly categorized it as rejection? But now you can see that their absence was a direct, necessary rescue. You genuinely believed you were losing, but all along you were being meticulously preserved. You were not abandoned in the wilderness. You were hidden and safeguarded until the precise appointed moment. Every silent season in your life was God shaping and fortifying your character for the immense destiny that is now approaching. Silence is not a vacuum. It is the construction site where spiritual warriors are forged. It's where your mental strength becomes muscle memory. It's where faith transcends a mere word and solidifies into an absolute lifestyle. In that profound silence, God gently but firmly strips away the ego, the insecurities and the dependence on human approval, replacing them instead with unshakable certainty, a new powerful identity, and a crystal-clear vision. You learned how to stand tall without the need for applause. You learned to trust completely without demanding signs. You learned to keep moving forward even when the presence of heaven felt quiet and distant. You walked directly through a blazing fire and miraculously did not burn. Others, facing significantly less resistance, collapsed, but you endured storms that should have broken the strongest of people. You survived heartbreak that should have shattered your spirit into 1,000 pieces. You maintained your inherent kindness when betrayal tried to poison your perspective. You stayed compassionate when anger attempted to harden your heart. You remained firmly rooted in your spiritual truth when the world made every attempt to render you cold and cynical. That is precisely why you are chosen. Not because you possess an impossible, flawless perfection, but because you absolutely refuse to allow the difficult fire to transform you into someone you were never meant to be. You undoubtedly experienced devastating losses, but you never ever lost yourself in the process. You kept your heart beating with hope. You kept your soul wide open to possibility. You never allowed bitterness to take root. You never truly gave up the fight. Even carrying your scars, you still choose to believe. Even with old wounds, you still choose to care deeply. Even with broken pieces of your past, you still possess the capacity to love. That is the definition of profound spiritual strength. That is the fundamental reason heaven has selected you for this elevation, because you remained steadfast and faithful in the deepest darkness. Anyone can offer praise in the blinding light of a breakthrough. Only the chosen few possess the spiritual resilience to offer praise and gratitude while standing in the desolate valley of waiting. Now, here is the stark, undeniable truth you must grasp. Most people fail to realize that God always rigorously tests the foundation before he begins to build the grand structure of destiny. If your life had been perpetually easy, you would have instantly crumbled the moment true pressure arrived. But because you have been stretched, strengthened, and profoundly refined, nothing that is coming next will have the power to shake you. When the divine elevates an individual, he ensures that their character is robust enough to flawlessly carry the weight and responsibility that their massive calling requires, and the part of this revelation that should make your spirit tremble with anticipation. Your preparation is now complete. The storm was never intended to last forever. You are absolutely not being punished. You are, in this very moment, being perfectly positioned. The long season of waiting is ending, and the glorious season of release is powerfully beginning. But what heaven is about to unleash on November 5th is far more than just a blessing. It is a divine reversal, a turning of the tables orchestrated from the highest spiritual realm, a point of no return. And once this process begins, nothing, no earthly force, will have the power to stop it. Let us delve even deeper into the mystery of this day. There are many days when life proceeds normally, quietly, with no outward sign that anything sacred is occurring. November 5th will not be one of those days. On this date, the spiritual and physical worlds will collide with overwhelming force. This is not a metaphor. It is a literal, tangible event. You will feel this movement in your spirit long before you can verify it with your eyes. Heaven does not gently tap on your door when destiny arrives. It knocks with absolute, undeniable authority. For some, the first clear sign will be doors opening in places you previously had no conceivable access to. Financial breakthroughs will manifest without the usual exhausting struggle. Approvals you thought were flat out impossible will appear. Opportunities that were seemingly out of your reach will suddenly and inexplicably reach out for you. This will not happen because you fought harder, but because God Himself moved the necessary pieces. What was previously blocked will suddenly open, not slowly, but instantly, as if the universe itself stepped aside to grant you unhindered passage. For others, the true miracle will not be material. It will be profoundly internal, healing in your mind, your body, and your soul. Pain that has resided within you for years will suddenly lose its gripping power. The kind of deep reconciliation that no human conversation could possibly fix will be achieved through grace alone. You will not have to convince anyone, chase after anyone, or expend energy trying to prove your worth. The heart that was closed will suddenly soften. The relationship that seemed utterly dead will breathe again with life. The wound that absolutely refused to seal will finally close forever. There will be a group of you who will experience an explosive creative acceleration, ideas, inspiration, and laser clarity pouring into your mind as if a massive wall had finally collapsed. Projects that you couldn't find the momentum to finish will suddenly flow effortlessly. Solutions that were invisible before will become immediately obvious. Your spirit will no longer feel stuck or stagnant. It will feel powerfully and consistently guided. When heaven releases creativity, it is not a small flickering spark. It is a devastating cleansing flood. And then, there are the chosen ones who will feel a profound, inexplicable shift, a spiritual awakening that defies human vocabulary, a powerful sensation of divine power rising within your soul, a fundamental shift in your perception of reality, sudden, absolute knowing of who you are, the direction you must take, and the ultimate purpose you were born to fulfill. Your intuition will become razor sharp. Your discernment will be louder and clearer than ever before. You will sense the very presence of God in every single step you take. People will look at you and remark, "You look different," without truly understanding the reason. It is because elevation becomes visible before it becomes verbal. What was rightly yours will now return to you, not merely equal or similar, but massively multiplied. The years you mistakenly thought were stolen will be repaid with interest. The opportunities you shed tears over will be fully restored. The respect that was lost will return to you with deep honor. When heaven returns something to you, it never comes back in its original state. It comes back overflowing with abundance. And here is where the mystery of this day becomes completely undeniable. Tasks that you labored over for years will suddenly materialize without any effort. This is not because you suddenly became stronger, but because divine intervention has permanently replaced human struggle. Where you offered a prayer, God will now act decisively. Where you pushed and strained, God will now simply open the door. Where you wept, God will now build an edifice. It will feel almost surreal, as if life has strategically skipped necessary steps just for you. But that is the mechanism of how heaven works when the appointed time is at hand. Acceleration without exhaustion, blessing without begging, and visible results without a logical explanation. There will be moments when you stop in your tracks and whisper, "This is undeniably God." You won't simply believe it. You will know it with every fiber of your being. Events will line up with too much perfection. The timing will be too precise to ignore. Answers will arrive too swiftly. Nothing about this shift will feel ordinary or common. And even those who are watching your life unfold will not be able to deny the powerful evidence of divine activity. Some will be inspired, some will be confused, some will be intimidated, but all will witness the undeniable hand of God, because November 5th is not about coincidence. It is a spiritual announcement of major consequence, and heaven absolutely does not move quietly when it chooses to reveal and elevate someone it has specifically chosen. But listen closely, because what heaven is preparing to return to you is still not the absolute end of this magnificent story. There is an even greater truth unfolding beneath the surface, something that will not just bless your immediate life, but will redefine your entire spiritual path in a way you have never dared to imagine. And that final powerful revelation is coming next. Nothing about the arrival of November 5th will be silent. Heaven never releases a major, life-altering move without sending clear, unmistakable signals ahead of time. In the days leading up to this divine appointment, a powerful shift will begin in your spirit. You might not be able to articulate it mentally, but your soul will immediately recognize the distinct vibration of what is coming. Unusual dreams are often the first sign, not the kind of random dreams that vanish upon waking, but vivid, symbolic dreams that cling stubbornly to your memory. These are dreams that feel like direct, meaningful messages, not mere imagination. They may feature faces you haven't seen in years, places you've never visited, doors opening, paths clearing, and powerful lights illuminating dark rooms. These are not mere coincidences. They are spiritual downloads. When heaven is preparing to reveal a truth, it often whispers to the subconscious before the conscious mind is ready to receive it. Next comes a sudden, profound peace, a peace that makes zero logical sense. Your problems may still loom large, bills may still be due, uncertainty may still surround you, yet your heart will feel strangely, powerfully calm, as if an unseen hand has reached out and completely quieted the storm within your chest. This peace is not emotional. It is a divine intervention. It is the Spirit's quiet way of announcing that the battle is, in fact, already won. Stop the worrying. When peace appears without any visible external reason, it is an absolute sign that something vastly greater is moving decisively behind the scenes. Unexpected opportunities will then begin to appear in rapid succession. Conversations that open massive doors you weren't even actively knocking on. Emails, messages, invitations, and powerful offers. Ideas coming seemingly out of nowhere. When destiny is near, people and opportunities begin to show up in your life with the unmistakable pull of a magnet. You will begin to feel as though the world has suddenly awakened to the sound of your name. The blessings that you once vigorously chased will begin to chase you instead. Then you will notice powerful confirmations, strange, perfect alignments that are too precise to be ignored. Someone will utter a sentence that perfectly mirrors the thought you just had. A song on the radio will speak exactly the encouragement you desperately needed. A message will appear at the precise second you finished a prayer for guidance. Repeating numbers, repeating names, repeating signs. Heaven does not conceal its presence. It leaves its clear fingerprints everywhere for those who possess the eyes to see. Your intuition will become exceptionally sharp and reliable. You will think of an old friend, and they will immediately contact you. You will feel a powerful spiritual nudge to go somewhere specific, and upon your arrival, something deeply significant will happen. You will begin to sense what is right and what is wrong instantly, without any hesitation or doubt. Your spirit will know instinctively when something is divine, and when something is a distraction, meant to pull you off course. This is not simple imagination. This is profound spiritual alignment. Finally, your soul will feel the physical effects of this shift. It may manifest as an electric feeling beneath your skin, a warm surge in your chest, sudden tears of release, a sudden infusion of courage, or an overwhelming, instant clarity. You may feel more awake, more alert, and more intensely present, as if you are stepping into a version of yourself that was always patiently waiting inside you. When heaven aligns someone with their ultimate destiny, the physical body absolutely registers the spiritual upgrade. Pay close attention to every detail. Do not ignore the power of the dreams. Do not dismiss the sudden illogical peace. Do not hesitate on the unexpected opportunities. Do not ignore the gentle spiritual nudges. When the Spirit first speaks, it often speaks softly. But once November 5th arrives, the whisper will transition into a powerful, unmissable roar. And here is the final, profound truth that will undoubtedly leave you breathless. These numerous signs are not simply preparing you for a moment in time. They are preparing you for an absolute, total transformation. Because what is about to dramatically unfold will not only change the circumstances surrounding you, it will fundamentally and permanently change the person you are. Are you truly ready to hear the why behind all of this? There are moments in life that only alter your surroundings, and there are moments that completely redefine you. November 5th is not primarily about what is going to happen externally. It is entirely about what is going to be irrevocably awakened inside of you. This is not a minor blessing. It is a spiritual rebirth, a fundamental reset, a profound metamorphosis, a transformation that will completely rewrite your identity, your mindset, your energy, your reality, and the very way the divine works through your life. This day marks the pivotal point where your old life concludes and your true purpose dramatically begins. Not your casual dreams, not your hopeful wishes, your undeniable core purpose. Everything that came before this day was merely the preparation in the long hallway. This is the main door. You have been walking through life with an extraordinary gift carefully covered, a massive calling meticulously hidden, and a power buried deep beneath old wounds, paralyzing fears, self-doubt, past trauma, and the crushing silence of waiting. But when your destiny is finally activated, the old, insecure version of you cannot possibly survive in the magnificent new level you are entering. The crippling insecurities that used to dictate your actions will instantly collapse. The paralyzing fear that held you emotionally hostage will lose its tight, absolute grip. The critical internal voices that made you feel small and insignificant will no longer carry any authority. You will not just rise, you will inevitably evolve. On November 5th, something within your spirit will awaken that you will never be able to put back to sleep. You will view the entirety of life through a different lens. You will instinctively see boundless possibilities, where others only see insurmountable obstacles. You will walk with a new powerful authority, where you once shuffled with hesitation. You will finally stop begging for what you were born to command. You will grasp that past separation was not cruel rejection. It was God meticulously clearing your path of hindrances. You will finally realize the profound reasons why God kept you hidden, why He closed doors that you frantically begged Him to open, why He allowed you to wait while others seemed to advance effortlessly, why He let certain relationships completely fall apart, even when you exhausted yourself trying to hold them together. Some connections were simply too small. Some environments were fundamentally too dark. Some people were never truly meant to stand next to the royalty you were becoming. When heaven unveils who you truly are, elevation absolutely requires distance. Crowns demand personal space and separation. The weight of the crown is heavy because the magnitude of the calling is enormous. Heaven does not place a crown upon a fragile, untested character. Heaven places the crown upon the heads of those who have successfully endured the refining fire without ever losing their righteous soul. That is the reason you had to break. Bend, stretch, fall, get back up, and relentlessly keep walking. Even in moments of absolute exhaustion, God was not punishing you. He was methodically constructing you. He was transforming you into a person who could handle significant blessings without arrogance, wield power without corruption, achieve great success without losing essential humility, and possess influence without losing compassion for others. Anyone can be blessed, but not everyone can be absolutely trusted with a divine destiny. Now the shift begins. You will rise with a strength you never knew you possessed, with a clarity that instantly cuts through all confusion, with a divine favor that makes no logical sense, and with a victory that will be visible to every single person who once doubted your potential. People will look at you and genuinely struggle to recognize the person you have become, not because you changed, but because you are finally showing the world who you were all along. Your brilliant light will not dim itself to make others comfortable. Your powerful voice will not shrink itself to fit into small, limiting spaces. You will walk through the world as if heaven itself is standing immediately behind you, because it undeniably is. And here is the single most powerful part of this entire message. This transformation is only the ignition. What happens on November 5th is the starting gun, not the grand finale. A door is opening that will not be closed. A blessing is beginning that will not be stopped. A version of you is rising that cannot be reversed or undone. But before we reach the conclusion of this deeply personal message, there is one final, critical revelation you must hear. A final word that will seal everything God is actively doing and perfectly prepare your spirit for what comes next. Stay with me, chosen one. Listen with your entire soul, because this is the definitive seal upon your breakthrough. November 5th will be forever remembered as the day everything in your life fundamentally changed. Not by a random roll of the dice, not by sheer luck, but by absolute divine order. Heaven has officially spoken the command, advance. What has stubbornly resisted your progress will now release its grip. What previously mocked your efforts will be forced to bow down. What was hidden in the shadows will be powerfully exposed. And what was promised to you will finally step into the light with your name clearly inscribed upon it. You were not merely prepared for a moment of destiny. The moment was meticulously prepared specifically for you. All those hours you spent wondering if you were too late were the exact hours heaven spent aligning the roots, moving the necessary pieces, and relocating massive blessings to the precise coordinates of your consistent obedience. No force on this earth, visible or invisible, can halt what God has already written for your life. Because what is written and sealed in the higher, celestial courts cannot possibly be overturned in the lower, earthly ones. Your name is already being announced in places you have not physically entered yet. It is being whispered in exclusive boardrooms, mentioned in important messages, and carried by angels into rooms where pivotal decisions are made and doors are finally assigned. What is coming is exponentially bigger than your own prayers. Because what you asked for was often shaped and limited by your pain. But what God meticulously planned was shaped by your infinite purpose. It is infinitely more powerful than your pain, because pain forges temporary resilience, but purpose releases absolute authority. And the time is closer than you could possibly imagine, closer than your next wave of doubt, closer than the last lie you allowed yourself to believe about your potential, closer than the fear that kept your spirit small. Therefore, you must stay ready right now. Cleanse your atmosphere. Silence every source of destructive noise. Protect your laser focus. Set your face like unyielding flint and move forward. Stay aligned. Keep your heart pure and unpolluted. Your motives crystal clear. Your spirit soft enough to distinctly hear the guidance and simultaneously strong enough to immediately act upon it. Stay in faith. Speak as if the thing is already an accomplished fact. Walk as if the road is perfectly paved. Thank God right now as if you've already signed the contract, already received the healing, already crossed the finish line. Because on November 5th, the impossible will transition into a palpable reality. Human clocks will bend to the divine chronos. Delays will instantly collapse into supernatural acceleration. The invisible spiritual reality will finally take visible form. Ideas will acquire tangible bodies. Purpose will acquire massive platforms. Prayers will acquire undeniable proofs. And your destiny will open right in front of you. This breakthrough will not arrive with chaos, but with absolute clarity. Not with frantic shouting, but with quiet, profound authority. Not with desperate scrambling, but with a confident, powerful stride. You will physically feel the spiritual mantle settle upon your shoulders. You will instinctively know which door is the right one to choose. And you will sense a powerful, driving wind at your back that originates from beyond this world. And when people eventually ask you what suddenly changed everything, you will simply answer with a quiet, certain fire in your eyes. God spoke, and I advanced. This day is the absolute demarcation line between before and after. It is the spiritual hinge where the old, restrictive chapter closes without bitterness, and the new one begins with confident, unshakable apology. Let those who once doubted your potential watch in stunned silence. Let those who believed in you stand proudly beside you. Let those who harmed you see the magnificent, protective goodness of God completely surrounding you, like an impenetrable shield. Lift your head high, unclench your hold on the past, Step decisively forward the moment the spiritual traffic light turns green in your spirit. The spiritual throne did not forget your name. The script for your life was never lost. The order has been definitively issued from the highest court, and as the final hour approaches, feel the palpable change in the atmosphere around you. Feel your courage dramatically rise. Feel heaven itself intensely lean in, awaiting your next move. When the day breaks and the page of your life turns, do not, under any circumstances, hesitate. Cross the threshold. Claim the space that is rightfully yours. Wear the crown that was designed for your head, because what is about to touch your life will not be temporary or fleeting. It will be an eternal, unforgettable testimony. Now simply breathe, listen intently, and be ready for the sound that officially marks the spiritual shift. Because when you finally hear it, you won't be waiting for destiny anymore. You will be walking powerfully within it.